keep talking because at the end of the day, Jerry, you and I have come together to discuss, celebrate, talk about, and appreciate Impact Wrestling. And now we look forward to a 20-year milestone in this company's ups and downs, from redefining women's professional wrestling in the Knockouts division to elevating limitless possibilities for their X division through the ups and downs of the World Heavyweight Championship picture, including the NWA Heavyweight Championship. No matter what, this has always been a standout alternative, even if it's worst of times in the world of professional wrestling. And
Mhm.
now we look forward to tomorrow night celebrating 20 years, remembering, honoring, and shaping, continuing Impact Wrestling because we finally have made it once again to Slammiversary. Hello, once again, everybody. You know what this is, and good morning to you. This is the Simple Man in the AM on this Saturday morning with Jerry Slammiversary for I am Noah Foster, and we are here to discuss with you so much that is coming up, not just Slammiversary, what has really been, some of our key takeaways when it comes to Impact Wrestling, why we enjoy it and appreciate it too. So thanks for coming along for the ride where you watch this on live or on demand. With that being said, Jerry, we've made it. It's always great to see you. But once again, this is it. This is their WrestleMania, their milestone. How you
Oh,
feeling, my friend?
I'm feeling all right. Just got up this morning. Or actually, I told you a little bit ago. I only slept like an hour and a half last night. Even in this morning, got a little bit of a nice little workout this morning. Used one of those push mowers without the motor or anything on it. Just did my yard like 7 o'clock this morning. People thought I probably was nuts, but
Nice.
I'm excited to talk about this show, man. I've been okay. You say TNA fan, but like or an Impact fan for quite a while now since I first saw him on the Best Damn Short Sports Show period. And that was about the same time they started. So hold on a second.
Oh, y'all good? Yeah, I mean, again, you think about when they started back at the Asylum, and then they went to Spike TV, and then they've been trying to find like a comfortable home and trying out new stuff. They brought
Oh
in
yeah,
Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff. They've been on Destination America. They've been on Pop TV, and now they.
I especially like the introduction of the six-sided ring when they first came out with that. That was like that for me. That just kind of blew my mind. I'm like, that doesn't really make much sense. But that's all that you're able to have like these X Division stars coming off of all these different turnbuckles,
All
and
six.
yeah, it's like there's like limitless possibilities. And that's what led to the X Division being my favorite part of the show. Because one of the first things I ever saw was Petey Williams doing a Canadian Destroyer on the Jarrell Clark.
Oh
like
my gosh.
just like it was fantastic, and that's what kind of got me into it. Now I'm like, okay, some of these other wrestlers are really great too. They had some decent main event talent, so that was kind of like their or like insurgents. That's when they were actually starting to build up.
Yeah, I mean, you had people like AJ Styles became one of the greatest of all time. You had the Morrissey Machine Guns, Generation Me. You had Chris Harris, America's Most Wanted. You had James Storm, Bobby Roode, Beer Money. You had Team 3D, synonymous with tag team wrestling
Yeah.
and TNA. You had Abyss, Taylor Wilde. You had so many just standout rising stars, and you've seen where they have come and gone through the industry. Blueprint, Matt Morgan. The list goes on, top to bottom, men and women. You can say what you want about the WWE and the women's evolution. They did not start, promote, or do anything huge women's wrestling before Impact Wrestling and TNA laid the foundation with the likes of Gail Kim and Awesome Kong at the
Oh,
forefront.
I was about to say there's like between the tag division and the women's division or knockouts division they're unparalleled. For the longest time, they've actually been the standard bearer for what's been really great about tag team wrestling, and like their women's division is they're both almost bottomless to the point where they have infinite possibilities for champions and everything else, and they don't treat tag teams like it's a bad word. Like WWE does that a lot. Like pretty much the tag belts there become an afterthought to the point where if it weren't for the fact that the Usos have both the titles, I probably wouldn't even know.
At this point, the Usos is the only name you think of in WWE when it comes to tag team wrestling, and the
I think
blue
they're,
injury
yeah,
straps still aren't worth the silver dimes they're plated on, but I
no,
digress. But that being said,
I'd say they just merged them into a purple one, but that brings back some bad memories. So
just go back to the black and bronze. At least they looked more realistic, but I digress. That being said, yeah, there's so much we could just reminisce, talk about, celebrate, and think about when it comes to Impact Wrestling, TNA. And thanks you, of course, to the Renegade, JJ. I hope you had an awesome time in the Review. You did a great job, bro. I'll see you tomorrow night on the Jeff Beacher Network, too. Gary, let's get right into it. So before I begin, again, everybody, please subscribe, comment, tell a friend, and come join the Impact Predictions League as we celebrate, once again, Slammiversary. It will be available on pay-per-view on Fight TV for, I believe, $40, and comes to us this year, once again, from Nashville, Tennessee. And I say that because last year I was there live at Skyway Studios as a VIP. What an incredible first ever live experience for me in the world of Impact Wrestling. Oh my gosh, I saw this. I digress. And also, they will be coming from the Nashville Fairgrounds this time. So get your predictions in. As of course, I am running the Predictions League. Shout out to over the 20 of you last night checked that are currently now in it. You got till 7 p.m. tomorrow night to get those predictions in. And Jerry, I say right now, as far as midpoint goes, I think we're all doing rather well. Scott Cater right now has a narrow margin, currently the champion, holds down at 40 points. Cindy G right behind him, followed by Joshi and It's Me. But I must say, for Impact Wrestling, I think you've been doing better with this company versus WWE.
Well, Impact is just a little more entertaining, and I like the idea of actually being right here, but I also don't mind the idea of being wrong either because they actually have like sensible finishes to their matches. Like there's not a bunch of garbage going on to the point where I'm like, okay, this is stupid. I just got cheated out of a point. It's like no. This looks right on paper, so we're good.
The beauty is when Impact Wrestling makes wrestling fun to watch and you're okay with the result regardless, and it does yield something for either side, that's what makes professional wrestling fun. Damn it. But I digress. So that being said, let's get right into it. So we got, of course, our countdown into Slammiversary, and they gave us 2 matches. I can't believe they brought this one back, but we'll start with the now versus the past. As we have the Digital Media Championship on the line as the current champion, not Brian Myers, the most professional wrestler. No, I'm, of course, talking about Rich Swann, who won it off Matt Cardona, who is currently injured. He defends the gold now against Brian Myers, who Matt Cardona has basically endorsed now as the current Digital Media Champion. Since the inception of this championship, it literally has been defended across just digital media, which I really respect. You literally see these showcase matches across independent wrestling promotions. And of course, our inaugural champion, Jordan Grace, she had a great run with it for a while until Matt Cardona stole it. And we see Matt Cardona pull out banger matches too, but also does everything possible to win and retain it until most recently he got injured and Rich Swann was able to take advantage at a Pro Wrestling Revolver event, I believe, and became the champion, but Matt Cardona scurried off with the belt. So right now, this past Thursday in Impact Wrestling, Matt Cardona passed the title off to the most professional wrestler, Brian Myers, the other half of the major players. So here we go. We're going to see who becomes the champion of the internet for Impact Wrestling going into their 20th year. It's one of those things right now where I'm like, Brian Myers, how professional are you? Can you hold up to what it means to be digital media champion? And Rich Swann right now, since William Mack's no longer in Impact Wrestling, sorry, JJ, I feel like he needs this title to take him into a different direction, can be a great champion. So I think he should technically retain and actually get the little strap back. When's the problem if Jordan Grace shows up and kicks Brian Myers in the balls? So I'm going with Rich Swann to have the title. Your thoughts on this?
You pretty much took the words out of my mouth. Swann's going to retain. But I've been a fan of Myers and Cardona for as long as I can remember because they were one of the first teams I actually saw at my first ever wrestling event, a house show, or my first ever house show I ever went to for OVW back when they were the Major Brothers and just before they became Edgeheads. So that was a real treat. So seeing how far they've come, especially Matt Cardona, because I saw him for a longest time as being like the not really the lesser half of the majors, but not as prominent, not as important. Pretty much like almost like he had Myers, who was like the more structurally sound one, the more technical one. Then you had Cardona, who was kind of like the wild card. He was always screaming, laughing, just having a good time. So to see him wear so much gold for a while there was actually really, really cool. And I know he's going to get more when he gets back, but for right now, I think it'll be a great. I think it'll be a great little story beat just for like a Rich Swann to retain here and actually get the belt back, and then
Right.
from there, if this feud can't continue, like you could have Myers still going after Swan, and it still be relevant long enough for Cardona to return from his injury. So.
Yeah, and of course, as we know, Macadona had to relinquish the NWA 10 pounds of gold back at the Always Ready pay-per-view, literally named after him. Since Macadona's been released from prison, or developmental, excuse me, he literally has owned the industry, building his own brand. Mad respect to him. So we'll see when he is ready once again to try and get back the Jimmy Championship. But I don't think Brian Myers is going to hold up to the same caliber as Macadona did. So Rich Swann, yeah, I think he's going to take it.
Yeah.
All right. Now we move on to, I still cannot believe they freaking did this. Talk about honoring 20 years. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the greatest of times. It was the sensible of times. It was the happiest. You get the idea.
Yeah.
Because for the second time ever, Jerry, they brought this, the Reverse Battle Royale. And according to Cindy, it was voted by Dave Meltzer as one of the worst, or if not the worst, professional wrestling match of the year.
Oh no! I did some back research on this thing, and sure enough, yeah, there's not one positive fucking word on the internet about this match.
Well, that being said,
They
the last time...
they said it's innovative, but that it wasn't innovative in a good way.
I mean, there's innovation, and then there's insanity that goes above Vince Russo booking, and this one takes the cake.
God, yeah.
The second time ever. For those that don't know, let me educate you. The first time this match was held was back at Bound for Glory 2007, and it was known as the Fight for the Right to challenge for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. And they are following the exact same rules now here at Slammiversary. 16 wrestlers will start on the outside of the ring, while the first 8 to fight their way into the ring advance, and the match becomes a normal over-the-top rope battle royal until we only have 2 men left in the ring. Then the final 2 will figure out things in a traditional match to a 1-fall, pinfall, or submission finish. And the winner of that match most likely will challenge for the Impact World Heavyweight Championship, date to be determined. So, yeah, the funny thing about this match is, also, unlike the Royal Rumble, you have zero idea who's in it, but you can probably guess based on the roster. I think about maybe men and women. I mean, Jordan Grace has freaking broken boundaries when it comes to the Experts Championships. Why not bring the knockouts into this freaking thing? I could see Crazy Steve Macklin, Curry Man, Shark Boy, Masha Slamovic, Giselle Shaw. Some of that picks up things there. Again, Masha Slamovic still undefeated. Mm-hmm. But for me, I think about who deserves the win in this most unique of circumstances if it comes down to challenging for a championship. There has not been a more dominant force, and I can't believe he's on the main card right now, than Steve Macklin. So with that being said, I think Steve Macklin deserves to win this. He's my pick to win. That being said, Jared, your thoughts towards who you think's going to show up, who you think should win it, but ultimately, I'm doing this for 5 points to really try and change things up here. Who do you think is going to?
I didn't even know last night when I was filling out my ballot. So like basically, like I think it's about the time I dozed off, and then all of a sudden I woke up, wrote down the name Shark Boy. So that's what we're gonna go with. I'm gonna go with Shark Boy winning the match because there's really no mention of them getting a title shot or anything. If anything, it feels like it's gonna be a gimmick battle royal, is what it's gonna be. So if it's gonna be a throwaway match, especially if it's gonna be on the opening,
the opening still, yeah.
Yeah, it's a statement about the Reverse Battle Royal. I can't remember it. There you go. But
I don't think nobody wants to. Yeah, the fact this is on the pre-show, this screams gimmick to me. That just got all the weirdness coming back from.
I'm about to say, Swinger will probably be in there. Everybody like that was backstage for all those like vignettes will be back in this match. So, like, there's always that chance that God, yeah. Heath Slater can even show back up, so we never know. But same time,
Martin No More took him out though. I don't know, man. And Rhino also got taken out too. So I mean, and we'll talk about that later.
I'm honestly thinking like Shark Boy is actually kind of
Boy.
It could be Shark Boy. I don't know.
Well, let's go ahead and, by the way, shout out again to the 22 of you that's been part of the league so far, including not limited to JJ, Cindy G, Tim, Mikey Starts, Chris Willis, Bacon Space, what a weird name, Mark Anderson, Scott Cater, Benji, Mr. and Mrs. Holiday, and, of course, Sean Boley and Charlie, among others. Good luck to everybody. By the way, most people, 17 out of them believe that Rich Swann will retain the Digital Media Championship, and there are a few that believe Brian Myers will prove why he is the most professional. I just think they're action figureheads at this point, but whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there are a ton of responses here for the Reverse Battle Royal. Names included, but not limited to Cardona, that'd be a swerve. Let's see, I am horrible at names. Bhutaninder Singh, I think they mean Gujar. Brian Myers, Chris Bay. Oh, Chris Bay, there's one. Heath, Joe Doring, Johnny Swinger, you're not alone. Macklin, Shark Boy, PCO. Shark Boy, I don't know.
Well,
Steve Macklin, Swinger, and even Ziggy Dice.
I'm about to say, I thought PCO was already in a match later on against the originals versus the.
I think he is. I
don't know more. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but that being said, this is just going to be one of those things that people are going to be like, "What is this?" and "Who are you?" I think. But it should be funny. I just hope Johnny Swinger does the Bushwrecker thing again. But then again, if he starts on the outside, I guess that wouldn't make sense. My brain hurts.
I think it'll be a time where everybody's getting arrested with nacho dips and everything heated up to get into the main program. So,
all right. Well, that being said, we have to go from nonsense to absolute greatness, thankfully. But
yes.
Overall, that should be something. But this, again, it could steal the night. Because it is once again time for the standard of Impact Wrestling TNA's history. The X Division. As the X Division Championship is on the line in Ultimate X. Once again. Let's freaking go, Jerry. Alex Zane representing New Japan Pro Wrestling. Kenny King for Honor No More. Jack Evans, formerly from AEW, one half of the Hybrid 2. The latest member of Bullet Club and the current champion, Ace Austin, the Inevitable. Speedball Mike Bailey, and the former X Division champion, Toledo represent, my hometown boy, Trey Miguel. Now, before you kick this thing off and talk about the X Division and its greatness and maybe some of your favorites from it and the moments, let's go ahead and look at what the Galaxy has said so far because, wow, they are all over the place. We got a couple for Kenny King. We got one for Jack Evans, 4 for Mike Bailey, 1 for Trey Miguel. And the majority believe that it's inevitable that the newest member of Bullet Club will retain the title. As we know in Ultimate X, you climb the structure, you grab the belt, and as long as it's in your hands, don't have to be down. As long as it's in your hands solely, you are the champion. As, of course, I saw live last year with Josh Alexander. That was insane. Jerry, take it away. What is this going to bring, and who do you got?
Okay, we had 2 picks, correct? I believe
that is correct. I am doing secondary and primary because there's a field of 6. I feel that's only fair.
That's actually perfect. My primary pick is the Inevitable, and I think it'd be an interesting swerve, and actually, probably add more to his character if Bad Luck Fale would actually show up and put him on his shoulders just to lift him up to the belt versus him going all the way across. But even then, this whole lineup in this match is just so superb that any of them can walk away with the belt, and I would be super happy with it. Jack Evans, I've been a fan of his since Ring of Honor back when he was in Generation Next. So definitely my next pick for that will probably be Mr. Veda Scott himself, Speedball Mike Bailey.
By the way, to Veda Scott and
yeah, I thought that was really cool. But same time, he's got the most presence or anything at this point, especially with them, and the fact that him and Ace Austin are kind of feuding at this point too. It'd be cool to actually see him actually pick up the win here at Slammiversary of all places, and actually for them to start a feud, or Ace Austin may just turn his attention to New Japan at this point and go for something there, which wouldn't shock me either. But I think we're gonna have Ace Austin retain, and I think we're actually my alternate for this one would be Speedball Mike Bailey.
And the Renegade here with a bit of a evolutionary thought when it comes to the caliber of the athletes and performances we're about to see. TNA Impact took what ECW brought to the States, what WCW presented on a grander level with the Cruiserweight action. And of course, people know I got into Cruiserweight Wrestling for the likes of Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, and of course, Rey Mysterio.
Okay, no, Chris Jericho's like conspiracy theory, like angle, that whole thing. That
Exactly.
Dean
And
Malenko,
exponentially elevated to the next
yeah,
level.
I'm about to say Dean Malenko Cyclope was perfect.
There you go.
That's like one of the biggest pops that they have ever heard on like Monday Nitro was when he was revealed, and I was like, "Oh, this is great."
Yeah, this is awesome, man. I know we're
Yep.
going to get plenty of that here. So, yeah, looking at this field, you definitely bring a lot of valid points. I want to give also a shout out, Will Crick, also, or kind of more like humbling condolences because we talk about, Impact, TNA. We talk about the wrestlers. We talk about the authority figures. You got to give respect to the refs as well as one of the all time greats, Earl Hebner, who's done it everywhere and everywhere, and also his son, Brian Hebner. Not only past Slammiversary is he done as full-time repping, but our Hebner, he lost his brother. My deepest condolences to the entire Hebner family. That being said, this match here, oh my God almighty. So, for those that watched Impact Wrestling this past Thursday, Speedball Mike Billy and Trey Miguel tore it up, as the X Division always does, in a fast and furious clinic. And it was Trey Miguel that caught Speedball Mike Billy in a simple wrestling move to get a bit of momentum heading into this too. Trey Miguel, of course, being the former X Division champion, once again falling short to the fold, Ace Austin. Ace Austin, of course, coming from the Best Super Juniors, joining Bullet Club. When you find you're going to have the Zesty Friends, I guess they're not going to be sharing Taco Bell anymore, in his former ally, Alex Zane. And again, Alex Zane and Ace Austin was a standout match in Best Super Juniors. You have Ring of Honor, former great in Kenny King. But let's see, Ace Austin, Speedball Mike Bailey, friendship not there, competition's neutral. Trey Miguel, Ace Austin, fight forever. Mutual friendship now torn asunder. Alex Zane and Ace Austin. And then you have, I would call the wild cards here, and maybe the people you might be counting out in Kenny King and Jack Evans. This is a anything goes type match where anybody can win this out of nowhere. Honestly, Ace Austin might try the same thing he did last year and jump from the ropes while Tua grabbing the towel and maybe even grab it this time. But I look at this field, I think about the future, I think about where the exhibition goes from here with the champion. I do still want to see Speedball Mike Bailey versus Ace Austin one-on-one. So inevitably, especially because he is in Bullet Club right now, and Bullet Club's the strongest thing in the industry, my primary is Ace Austin to retain. But the secondary is where it gets interesting. Jack Evans, he's untested for the longest time in Impact Wrestling. This is his debut since, well, returning to this company under these letters. And then I think about Speedball Mike Bailey. He lost Trey Miguel, so I wonder, will he use that bit of a surprise against Trey and get the better of him, maybe make him a non-factor? I don't see the title flipping back and forth necessarily with the literal former champion Trey Miguel, despite his passionate interview on Outside the Ropes with Tom Hannigan about what it means to be part of Impact Wrestling for him. I do think he will be X Division champion again, but I don't think it will be this soon. I really think right now that since Speedball Mike Bailey has been showing up Impact Wrestling, he has all the momentum in the world. Only one singles loss this past Thursday. Speedball right now is my secondary pick because right now the biggest thing I could see coming out of this is two true Impact guys going after that for the title next in the short run, maybe out against all odds. I'm thinking Ace Austin for Speedball Mike Bailey is something to come. So those are my picks respectively.
I see Kenny King pulling off some Shelton Benjamin type shit throughout the match, and it's going to be really great to watch, but he just won't pick up the win. And Jack Evans, I see him either pull a 630 to the inside of the ring for some reason, or he will pull a double moonsault off of one of the beams to the outside of the ring. Those are his two go-tos. If he gets up there on that structure and thinks he can't make a jump across, and he sees a whole bunch of people on the ground, oh man.
Look, we saw what Blake Christian did at the multiverse of matches, so don't count anything or anybody out, trumping off that structure to the floor, breaking their body in the process while falling on everybody else. That's all I got to say about that. But this match is going to be fun, to say the least. Follow that. Speaking of follow that, let's see if the Good Brothers can follow that, since we're talking about Bullet Club, as the Impact World Tag Team Championships are on the line also. As them boys, the Briscoes, defend these straps successfully against Violent by Design and face for the first time ever former Impact Tag Team Champions who already got a victory over these two boys, the Good Brothers. If there's one thing I've learned about these two teams, Luke Gallows does not know how to talk to chickens. That was
Nope.
one of the funniest faces I've seen in a while with them on the farm. Going back to the boneyard match, and oh my gosh, that was funny. Okay, so seriously, the Briscoes, since coming into Impact Wrestling, losing out against the Good Brothers in their debut match, the Multiverse of Matches, they did go after former tag team champions Violent by Design, and they beat them. The Good Brothers, of course, who lost the straps to Violent by Design. You could also say they did not get their rematch in the correct way because of Honor No More's involvement, and we saw how Honor No More got the better of Bullet Club in a 10-man war with the help of a force that we know will not be at Slammiversary. With me, I think about this match. I think about, okay, is Bullet Club maybe getting a little bit too big of an ego when it comes to the amount of gold, the amount of people within it? And I think about them boys. I don't know necessarily if they're around for the short haul, per se. So, with this being a first time between them, I feel like that them boys are going to retain. Your thoughts on this match? And the majority of the galaxy right now, 20 people believe that them boys are going to retain too.
Yeah. Well, I think it's kind of ironic that like the Briscoes' old theme back in Ring of Honor used to be "Give Me Back My Bullets" by Laird Skynyrd, and now we're seeing them go against Bullet Club. I think that's a really nice little connection there. But
Fair enough.
but yeah, I can see the Briscoes retaining here. Like if there's any titles that are going to change hands, it's not going to be the tag belts right now. The Briscoes are just like one of the biggest draws I think like Impact has going for them, and yeah, I think it'd be excellent for them to keep the titles. Granted, Mark just had a baby a couple days ago, but
Congrats.
and that'd be cool for him to be able to take some time off the road. But at the same time, Impact doesn't tour nearly as much as these other companies do, so
No.
he still has the time, and like as long as they're like working a schedule they're working right now, I don't see why they wouldn't stay in Impact for right now. So it's guaranteed paycheck. It's guaranteed like top tier talent that they're going against. So I think Briscoes will retain.
Yeah, and we saw the Briscoes get the better of Jay White and Chris Bay this past Thursday on Impact Wrestling, while the Good Brothers were on commentary. They think that the same thing won't happen. But again, we also know the Good Brothers, they do have a trick up their sleeve. It was last year in a four-way dance where they came in, I believe, as challengers. They did escape with the titles, too, this traditional tag team affair. So we'll see if the titles change hands once again, if them boys can overcome the Good Brothers, or if the Good Brothers make it too sweet 2 years in a row. Maybe a different recipe. I don't know. But this should be interesting. I'm just at this point wondering, where do you go from here if them boys retain? Because if there's one thing we can't say about Impact Wrestling, the tag team division is not that deep for the men.
Nope.
So they do need to work on that, or need to take these somewhere else. Of course, Briscoes are 12-time Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. They formerly contended for the NWA World Tag Team Championships that were previously held by La Rebellion, now held by the Commonwealth Connection. So we'll see where these titles go from here, and where the
I'm
boys go from here too.
I'm honestly saying this right now, and you can go ahead and quote me on it. I can honestly see Wesley leaving like in NXT relatively soon, and then we get a Rascals reunion Impact. So,
I can see that.
then we'll get the Rascals versus Briscoes, which should be just a fun feud.
Oh, I mean, I could definitely see that happening. But
Mm-hmm.
again, only time will truly tell, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we talked about the Ultimate X, the standard for the men of Impact Wrestling, top to bottom, because again, there is no limits. We talk about now the women. Again, the Knockouts division, one of the most prolific women's professional wrestling divisions on the planet for pretty much this company's history. And again, now being led under the guiding tutelage, mind, and management of Gail Kim. Once again, the Knockouts are looking to make history because for the first time ever, we have Queen of the Mountain for the Knockouts World Championship. As the current champion, the Burikla Badass, Tasha Steeles, who says she will do whatever it takes, will defend the gold against the excellence of technical execution, the virtuosa Diana Perazzo. Long may she reign in her era. The hot mess, Chelsea Green. Thick Mama Pump, Jordan Grace, and the HBIZ Jade. Oh, excuse me. Mia Yim. And for those that don't know, a Queen of Mountain match works as follows. There will be all these participants, and might I add, an enforcer to try and keep law and order. And former Knockouts champion herself, Hardcore Country, Mickey James. Something tells me this is going to be a hot mess waiting to happen. But
Mm-hmm.
basically, what happens is you have the title, but you have to garner a pin over somebody, and if they're pinned, they go into a penalty box for 2 minutes. But that makes you eligible now to climb a ladder and hang the championship to proclaim yourself as Queen of the Mountain. This has actually been a standout match in TNA's history for the men, particularly King of the Mountain. And the
Mm-hmm.
most infamous synonymous of names with this match is definitely, I think, Jeff Jarrett, where he has successfully defended and won NWA and TNA Gold. Other names that have been involved in this include but not limited to Samoa Joe, Booker T, Kevin Nash was once a special guest enforcer. This match has actually happened before on previous Slammiversaries, per se. But when I think about this match, I think about, again, it's history. We got the Knockouts Championship on the line. As JJ here says, I love Miggy, but I feel that either Gail or Kong should have been the special enforcer for this special bout. I can kind of see where he's coming from. I mean, Gail Kim passed the torch to Deanna Purrazzo a couple years back at Rebellion, and of course, also Kong and Gail Kim. They are true pioneers of the Knockouts division since day one, and they kind of buried the hatchet when it came to what we thought was the ultimate rivalry in TNA history for the women. But that being said, this is one pick. It's only 5, but honestly, Jerry, I don't know. And looking at this, nobody does in the Galaxy either, because I'm literally looking at a 5-way pie. 6 say Jordan Grace, 6 say Mia Yim, 5 say the current champ Tasha Steelz. And I will say this. When Tasha Steelz first went after the championship, I was a little bit like, I didn't think she was ready to hold this down.
Yeah, I think everybody
She
was.
has proved me wrong. Because not only has she done whatever it takes to retain the title, I literally saw her beat former Knockouts champion Rosemary clean as a whistle in the middle of the ring without help. So I know that she can do it on her own. We also know how she can take advantage of a situation. And it wouldn't surprise me with an enforcer that Savannah Evans tries to get involved in here too, her insurance policy. We saw this past Thursday in Impact Wrestling in a Knockouts tab preview that Jordan Grace and Mia Yim could not quite communicate as well as Evans and Tasha Steelz, and Tasha escaped with the victory. But here, though, the only escape is ascension. You have to climb the ladder and hang the title. It's the only way to win the match. So right now, with a 5-way dance here, and I think about best friends, they know there can only be one Queen of the Mountain. Seriously, Chelsea Green, Deanna Purrazzo go after the Knockouts Tag Team Championships. Just something to think about. Mia Yim right now around for the short haul, it feels like. And Jordan Grace, she's done it all right? She's even contended for the X Division Championship. She's been a part of history, but she hasn't, capitalized on it. Tasha Steelz, of course, won the first ever Knockouts Ultimate X. Can she do it 2 times now to win history for the first time ever in the Queen of the Mountain? For me, I feel this truly comes down to Tasha Steelz and Deanna Purrazzo. 2 of the most prolific knockouts these last 3 years alone, in my opinion. But I think right now I am going to go with, oh, good Lord, because I do see Chelsea and Deanna maybe going after the tag titles. That gives something for them. Jordan Grace, Tasha Steelz, technically I'm not facing each other one-on-one. And maybe there is an end-off program with her and Mia Yim. Ah, damn. This is hard. Fudge it. Jordan Grace has been involved in too many of these matches to not win something, in my opinion, finally. I'm going to say that Jordan Grace comes out on top. Jordan Grace is my pick. Because honestly, this is the one match on this card. I truly don't know who could take this. And I don't know if Mickie James is going to play a factor too, considering she has history of all these women to a degree. She's faced them practically somewhere else too. So right now, make it official. Jordan Grace is my pick. Jerry, you're fossing this first time ever 5-way dance for the knockouts. And who do you got?
Well, I was about to say, the last King of the Mountain match initially was like a Slammiversary number 7.
Correct.
And then the 13th one had the return of it with Jeff Jarrett. But I can't remember what the first knockouts one was. So
this is the first knockouts.
Okay, that works then. So my pick is going to be Chelsea Green. I think what's going to end up happening is she's going to get pinned, and it's going to be some sort of bullshit reason she gets pinned. She's going to come out of the penalty box, and she's going to be Van Ness. And
oh God, no! Not the literal hot mess, the former Knockouts champion. No, keep in mind, folks, all the participants in this match are former Knockouts champions.
Yeah, that's why I think it would be really cool for her to come out of there. Nobody's going to be paying attention to what's going on inside the penalty box. They're going to be paying attention to what's going on in the ring. So she can easily basically change her wardrobe, smear some lipstick on her face, whatever else, and she can be right back out of the box and just be in Van Ness mode and I can see her actually like picking up the win.
Bashing somebody over the head with a bottle of champagne or throwing a bouquet in
Exactly.
someone's face. Oh God.
Yep.
Well, I
Like you said, Mickey may get distracted, but with Savannah Evans on the other side, not really see what's going on. So,
true.
and then this also sets up for, yeah, maybe her and Deanna Purrazzo are friends right now, but at the same time, like we're talking about two very different people with Laura Van Ness and like Chelsea Green. So you're talking about almost a split personality thing going on. So they'll be feuding and best friends at the same time, and that'd just be a great dynamic.
The
So
two-face encounter brought forward to life.
exactly, and I think it's something that Impact could actually pull off, especially if they start doing almost like cinematic type matches again, which would be they're the standard bearers for that too. So that'd be really cool to
They really
see
are.
them. It'd be cool to bring it back. But yeah, my pick is Chelsea Green
I do
for
like
those
the
reasons.
I do like the idea of the ultimate presentation of technical prowess in class versus the hot mess. I do
Yes.
like that as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
again, though, the beauty of this match, though, again, it truly could go anybody's way. But also, she's back crazy too. So just saying.
It actually took me a little bit coming back to that match just to come up with a conclusion. So I'm with you on that. Actually, it's one of, like it's just like the Ultimate X match at this point. It could go either way. It could go like one of 4 or 5 ways, really.
Exactly. And again, Deanna Purrazzo, who is, of course, former Knockout of the Year, Rest of the Year, I believe 3-time Knockouts champion, or 2-time, excuse me. Chelsea Green, of course, Laura Van Ness. We all know that she is a former Knockouts champion. Back when they were on the Anthem side of things with the 6-sided ring, with the help of Maria Kanellis and Allie. Hey, Allie. We also, of course, had Jordan Grace, former Knockouts champion, lost the belt to Deanna Purrazzo, where those two were involved in the first ever Iron Woman match in Impact Wrestling history. And of course, Jade Mia Yim, she had a huge confrontation type of feud over the Knockouts Championship with Rosemary at one point, selling it at 6 sides of steel.
Yeah.
So all these women are definitely tested and definitely prove their merit as champions. As Tasha Steelz right now, first-time champion, her Impact Wrestling history, successfully defending the title, of course, over Mickie James and Rosemary, and Havoc for that matter. So.
Yeah.
All these women are tested. All these women are definitely worthy of the name champion, but only one can call themselves the first ever Queen of the Mountain. And whether it's a hot mess, a virtuosa, a weak badass, an HBIC, or a thick mama plump, I'll be fine with whatever result. But I'm very curious what this will mean going forward for the Knockouts division.
I think it's all for my reason for also Chelsea is the fact that she's had so many different false starts over the past couple of years. Like NXT, she got injured in. She like first match I think it was SmackDown. Like
Correct.
she got knocked off the ring, and like broke her wrist or some crap, and she was out from there too. I think it'd just be nice and rewarding for her, like especially on the 20th anniversary and its first match of this kind for the women's division, for her actually to pick up the win. That'd be a cool moment.
It'd be cool for her to actually win it as Chelsea Green versus Laura Van Ness, too. And keep in mind, Chelsea Green came back to Impact Wrestling last year with her husband in Mixed Tag Affair, which I saw live. And again, I love me a hot mess. So it's freaking awesome.
That'd be an interesting dynamic, too. Like Brian Myers loses his match at the beginning of the night, and then somewhere in the middle, you have Chelsea Green actually winning hers. So, like,
actually coming to play here.
So you have Matt Cardona pretty much like at home, like or like later on in like some sort of like backstage segments,
shows
like
him in a sling.
Shows him in a sling. He's like, yeah, honey, boo you, yeah, honey.
All right. Well, either way, this is going to be an interesting 5-way dance for the first time, to say the least. And the Knockouts are once again going to set a standard. So good luck to everybody, and Mickie James. Lymphium if you do face the crazy hot mess. Good grief. All right. Well, moving forward from there, while we talk about 5-way craziness, let's go to a one-on-one insanity because, again, we talk about standards of Impact Wrestling.
The draw!
It's not Fighters Jay Mitchell that invited us to this dance this time. It was Sami Callihan. But, yes, Monsters Ball is back. Oh, God. As Moose, the former Impact World Champion, goes one-on-one with Sami Callihan. And as we speak, these two men right now are locked away in separate rooms without food, water, and light, literally waiting and are going to be delusional beyond all belief to tear each other apart. Now, Sami Callihan is already insane, so I don't know how much further his insanity can go. And Moose right now, he is a quiet psychological killer, Hannibal Lecter type wise, it seems. So I'm sure he's going to be ready for this too. This all stems back to when Moose injured Sami Callihan. He's been out indefinitely until he returned back at, I believe it was Under Siege.
Yep.
And basically, he said that the Death Machine, the Draw, is back. And ever since then, every night Moose has been on our screen. Lights go out, and Sami Callihan's been there to knock his ass out, usually with that baseball bat. On this past episode, we've really seen him lock Moose in a room, and next thing you know, we saw in the opener of this week's Impact Wrestling, Monsters Ball. Sami Callihan just constantly talks about, lights goes off, I kick your ass. Lights go out, I kick your ass. Monsters Ball. This is going to be crazy. Now, I would say this is revenge. This is also redemption. But again, it's also insanity. Because anything goes in Monsters Ball. Names synonymous with this magic club not limited to Abyss, McFoley, Raven, and even the Knockouts per se, particularly Rosemary, have made this a staple for themselves too. I mean, heck, back at friggin' 2019, there was a four-way Monsters Ball dance with Sue Young, Havoc, La Loca, Taya Valkyrie, and Rosemary, two of which we will talk about later. And the last Monsters Ball we've seen in Impact Wrestling was with PCO and Jonah. So, as far as I'm concerned, Sami Callihan last year at Slammiversary was involved in the main event, of course, that I saw, against Kenny Omega in an Anything Goes match, and that was bloody insane, and I could see them trying to surpass that here. Moose last year at Slammiversary, he lost too. Both these men are going into this Slammiversary with a point to win, not just for revenge. Moose lost to Chris Sabin via wrestling roll-up, Sami Callihan lost to Kenny Omega via a One-Wing Angel on a bed of tacks. As far as I'm concerned to go, I think about Sami Callihan as the more OG member of the Impact Wrestling roster. And I feel like here, he's going to make Moose famous, kind of like what he did with Tessa Blanchard. But I feel like Sami Callihan is going to pull out the win here. And 17 people out of the 20-something so far agree with me. Jerry, your thoughts on this and Monsters Ball in general?
It's weird that you say 17 because that was like Slammiversary 17 was when Callihan and Blanchard actually went against each other. So I think Callihan, even with his absence, was like such a champion and promoter for Impact Wrestling. Like he did not stop talking about the company. He kept on working with them behind the scenes. He kept on doing internet content for the brand. So much so that
it's a great podcast.
Yeah. So I think it's only fitting and only fair that if he wins his first match back in the company, especially at Slammiversary against what he considers to be his arch nemesis. So, yeah, so that would be super great. If he is to lose, it would leave a really bad taste in my mouth for it. I really do believe that. I think it'll piss off a lot of people in the at the place too, but I just don't see Moose going over here. I think Moose will actually get his comeuppance, so to speak.
Yeah, and again, Moose, he is also Impact Wrestling at heart tool, 5-tool athlete. And I think about both of these men, what they have to gain in loss or in victory. Moose will be even more furious, and then might go after Sami Callihan in an even more demented way. Sami Callihan gets his revenge, but will he truly be done with Moose after this?
Moose ends up leaving and going to relaunch of Ring of Honor.
Maybe.
It could very well be his swan song here. We just don't know. But at the same time, the one thing we should know at this point is Callihan's going to get the win.
As he should, in my opinion. Thumbs up, thumbs down. All right. Moving on from there, let's go back into Knockouts action as we have one of the only companies right now in the States that actually understand how to do women's tag team wrestling proper to a degree. That's not an all-women's promotion. Go figure. As we have the Influence, not my champions. I miss the inspiration. Cassie Lee, Jessica McKay, thank you, but I digress. The Knockouts World Tag Team Championships are on the line. The Influence, Tennille Dashwood, and one of the OG Knockouts as well, Madison Rayne, Killer Queen, defend the gold against the most unlikely of allies. Ever since her release from prison, she's back. La Loca and the Demon Assassin. I'm, of course, talking about Decays, Rosemary, and Taya Valkyrie.
How will they coexist?
Well, I think that's not going to be a problem here, considering WWE doesn't understand what professional wrestling is. But
I
I digress.
know. Somebody had to blurt it out at least once.
I knew, because again, who would have thought that you would see these two back together again?
Yeah, that's
Anyway,
stupendous.
all right. Anyway, we know the influence beat the inspiration, damn it, for the Impact Knockout Tag Team Championships, and it made the division all about themselves. At this point, though, Rosemary and Havoc were looking to go after the gold until Havoc, I still can't believe that freaking happened, was smashed by the undefeated Masha Slammiversary in incredibly quick fashion. Former Knockouts World Champion, might I add. Good grief. And now we have this unlikely alliance of two former Knockout World Champions in their own right. Laura Roca, Taya Valkyrie, and Rosemary back together. After Rosemary got the better of one half of the tag champs this past Thursday, 2 weeks ago on Impact Wrestling, they decided to make their intentions known and go after the Knockouts Tag Team Gold. And Rosemary wants to bite their faces off. Go figure. For me, I think about what happened last year at Slammiversary. Not even on the main show, on the kickoff. So I appreciate the fact this is on the main card. Fire and flavor fell short to decay, and the tiles were brought back into the shadows. For I serve as a high flame. Give an explanation for life. So for me, I feel that Rosemary is going to do it again, and I think it'll be a nice change of pace for Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie to have these tag team straps, because they definitely can bring a different flavor and direction to the Knockouts division where you got so much in depth. I mean, again, we're waiting for Killer Kelly to hope one day come back. Take care, Killer. I mean, we know Giselle Shaw and Alicia, they might be lurking the wings. That's if Alicia woke up after being smashed by Masha Slamovic. And I feel like, honestly, I could see a fall event between these Eagles of Madison Rayne and Tennille Dashwood. Maybe not necessarily here, but it wouldn't surprise me with how in-depth and dynamic the Knockouts division is. But I think we're going to have new tag champs. And for me, Rosemary is an OG of Impact Wrestling, okay? Ever since she formed Decay, back with Abyss and Crazy Steve. And we see now what it's become with Havoc, Crazy Steve, and Black Taurus. They have become a staple for Impact Wrestling in and out of the ring. You want to talk about promotion, Decay right now is almost pretty much a face of Impact Wrestling, because when they come in, the environment changes and they own everything. For all things fall to Decay. So I think we're going to have new tag team champions. Your thoughts on this?
I think they're going to retain.
What? Damn it! Why? And by the way, a majority of the Galaxy believe we're going to have tag champs. 17-9. You're in the 9. But go ahead and explain your thoughts.
I don't really have much thoughts about the match. I know it's going to be a competitive one, and the fact that like lately they've had to, like the influence has actually had to prove a lot more about themselves at this point, especially since without Caleb with a K there to either cause distractions or anything else. I think a victory for them at Slammiversary will actually prove them to be more legitimate champions, and also, just give them a little bit more of a push, and yeah, so I'm thinking the influence will actually retain.
I guess they haven't had it for that long, and I could definitely see them pulling out shenanigans.
They'll probably pull shenanigans, and that'd be fine too, but let the shenanigans be somewhere in the middle of the match. Yeah, don't let the match end with like some sort of like weird ass finish. Let the match actually end with like a double team move or something in that manner. So that way, there's still a little bit of legitimacy there. It's like okay, they cheated somewhere in the middle of the match, but Taya and like Rosemary rallied back for a little bit there, but then like have them actually still get the surprise victory. Which is depressing, because like you don't want to see it as an upset for them to beat Taya and Rosemary, but same time it kind of would feel like one.
Well, yeah, and of course, Taya Valkyrie right now, the current AAA Reina de Reinas champion, and also
Exactly.
the new MLW featherweight champion. Congratulations. Mm-hmm. Rosemary right now, kind of doing her own thing, kind of stuck in the middle of all of this. So it is one of those things where I think about, yeah, I could go see it either way, but I think Taya and Rosemary, who have never been tag champs by the way together, but definitely have a unique alliance per se, even back when Russ House was a thing. I think that they deserve it, so that's why I'm kind of going with them. Of course, Taya Valkyrie, one of the most prolific Knockouts champions of all time, too. One of the longest reigning. So we'll see. I mean, at this point, I'm just waiting to see if we're ever going to get the Knockouts Tag Team Champions versus the NWA new women Tag Team Champions in Kenzie Page and Ella Envy after they took them off the Hex. Again, these two companies know how to do women's Tag Team Wrestling right. or will they get CCW involved? Because we know how Impact Wrestling loves to work with other independent promotions too. I'm just waiting for Kaneki to show up at Impact Wrestling.
Yeah.
But I digress. We'll see what happens here. This somewhat could go either way. All right. Well, moving on from there, we talk about celebrating Impact Wrestling. We talk about honoring Impact Wrestling. Let's talk about defending Impact Wrestling. But before we do that, I gotta wonder: is she gonna come out with some sort of address beforehand to thank the fans for 20 years of TNA Impact Wrestling? Because controversy aside, we talk about authority figures. She's definitely one of them. She has definitely been part of the history of this company and its growth, the worst and bad times. Because, as announced by ESPN, Dixie Carter will be coming to Slammiversary. I gotta imagine she's going to be coming out before the originals, or maybe even honoring somebody for the Hall of Fame if they do that again for Bound for Glory. But I'm very curious what Dixie Carter will be doing here and what she has to say, or who might confront her. Your thoughts about Dixie Carter's impact per se on this company, and what do you expect maybe to come from her at Slammiversary, Jerry?
Was that meant to be a pun? Because it sounded like a pun.
I get. Sometimes I don't mean to do stuff, and it just works. So yeah, let's go with that.
You said she's gonna make an impact, which I thought was pretty
Well,
great.
she definitely did when during her time as an authority figure.
But
anyway, go ahead, Tack.
I think she's just gonna be there to, like you said, thank the fans for for a long time there. Impact was in trouble. TNA was in trouble, and what really kept them afloat all those years was a super loyal fan base. Like some fans left when they things started getting a little bit ridiculous. A lot of their favorite stars were leaving. Yeah, a lot of people just definitely. I was about to say during the Hogan Bischoff is when they lost a lot of people.
Yeah.
But even then, they still had this loyal fan base that would still buy the pay-per-views, that would still go to live events, still want to support these wrestlers.
Still watching every week, including me.
Yeah, so it's going to be her earnestly thanking people for actually doing that, and I doubt it's going to lead to her doing any more really appearances or anything. But the fact that she was there for the beginning, and she is only natural that she's there for the 20-year mark.
Yeah, I agree. And again, we've seen her work with the likes of Sting. We've seen her work with the likes of Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff. We've seen the fallout with her and Bobby Roode back when we had the It Bad Professional Wrestling. She's been through a lot. She's connected with a lot. Kurt Angle, the list goes on and on. And she has had influence on several of those talents. Some of them in a more positive way during part of their time in TNA. And again, I just feel like she probably did leave people with a sour note when it came to Dixieland, even with that table spot by the Dudleys where she didn't go directly through the table. Let's get that clear. Back in the ballroom. But I will say this, Dixie Carter, thank you. And I'm curious to see what you say in appreciation towards Impact Wrestling and TNA 2, and whether or not Ethan Carter III shows up too.
And she's still hot.
Well, she got that southern charm too, to say the least. But I digress. But speaking of Sting, speaking of Bobby Roode, speaking of Ethan Carter III, speaking of Kurt Angle, what do all these names have in common? They're TNA originals. And now we look at this breed of the new and old defending their turf against Honor No More. As you did talk about, Jared, you are right. 10-man war involving PCO. As Honor No More's Eddie Edwards, Matt Taven, Mike Bennett, the OGK. Vincent and PCO take on the Impact Originals team so far of the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Selly and Chris Sabin. You guessed it. Definitely a stand on the X Division. Frankie Kazarian, and I still can't believe this is freaking happening. Magnus, but in true name form, the national treasure himself. You are looking at that right. Nick freaking Aldis. And another person yet to be determined or to show up. We've seen now in these 10-man wars that Honor No More has taken advantage. We saw last time a 10-man war against Bullet Club, thanks to help by Maria. They were able to win. We know Maria will be a non-factor after getting speared in next week, gored by, was it Rhino or was it someone? No, it was one of the other two. It was, I think, Matt. It was our own husband. Yeah, it was Mike Bennett. That literally broke her in half. And I don't think she's going to show up here, although it would be interesting to see a confrontation between her and Dixie Carter, considering their past history, too. But for me, I think about this. Since Honor No More has invaded through Impact Wrestling's door and made it their home, and they call themselves now the Standards, the Originals are, one and done. They're all news, man. As Vincent comes in, of course. I've been saying that to the Blueprint, Matt Morgan. It was good seeing him, too. I gotta wonder, who will be that last person, and are we honestly celebrating Impact Wrestling TNA's 20 years with a defeat over the TNA and Impact Wrestling Originals too? No way. Give me a break. For me, it comes down to who that fifth person is. I figure out the biggest pop. If you could get Sting back on here and get that theme, that would be crazy. Kurt Angle, his knees are busted up beyond all belief. I don't think that's going to happen. EC3 has lost his damn mind, so I don't think we're going to get Ethan Carr III. I don't think nobody wants to see that. And at this point, James Storm, I think someone said he's doing a movie, so I don't think he's showing up. For me, it's not so much the result here, because no matter what, I'm not going against the Impact TNA Originals. Hail to the no. It, for me, comes down to what the hell do you fill this team with? So, that being said, I guess there's at least one person that either likes Ring of Honor or still respects Eddie Edwards, who betrayed everything that Impact Wrestling stand for, because 1 out of 26 believes that Impact Originals will lose. Good luck to you, good sir or fair lady. Jerry, your thoughts on this entire 10-man affair and the Originals? Who do you think is going to show up? What do you think it's going to lead to? What's the end result?
Okay, first off, yeah, the Originals are going to win this match. I have two different picks for who I would love to see to be the other person in that. Or actually, I say three, but okay, I'm going to go with my least likely first.
Go ahead, man. Let your brain flow. They're in Nashville, so keep that in mind, too.
Okay, my least likely is Ken Shamrock. Like one of the first champions of the company, and for him to come back would be pretty awesome for that. My second pick, a little less likely, but still possible, Christopher Daniels.
Oh, the name. Yeah, he did show up before. That's a good one.
Just SCU can't tag anymore in AEW. They made that mention not too long ago. Ethan Page did on AEW, so it'd be cool for him to team back up on in Impact.
TNA Impact, bring back Bad Influence with the Apple Martini.
And my number one pick, the King of the Mountain himself, Jeff Jarrett. Why the fuck not? You're talking about you brought him up a little bit ago, and I've been waiting to say his name because Dixie Carter's going to be there, so it kind of makes sense that Jeff Jarrett would also be looming around, and to hear from the Planet Jarrett theme just blaring over the speakers again, you have to admit you'd pop like crazy for that.
I would. I will say this: hearing Aces and Eights theme this past Thursday and D'Lo Brown going real deal was a moment in itself.
And you gotta figure, if anybody gets a pinfall in this match, it would be Jeff Jarrett after a guitar strike over the head to PCO to put him down.
He pissed him off, and the PCO be like, ah! And he's still freaking, because PCO's not human. That don't affect him.
Or that'd just be the icing on the cake right there. If he actually nailed PCO with the guitar shot, either got the pin or PCO just put no sold it. Either way, that'd be just an epic moment for Slammiversary.
Oh, no doubt. I love those thoughts. And again, I mean, I thought that the Sting theme coming back would be freaking up, but that takes the cake. I think that is brilliant.
I was about to say, any three of those participants would work out beautifully. Ken Shamrock for nostalgia, Christopher Daniels because he's one of the standard bearers for the X division, and you got to figure three of those guys already in that match. Chris Sabin, Alex Shelley, Frank Kazarian, X division mainstays. The only wild card in that group right there is Nick Aldis. And he could very well just very well walk out of the match, because he's a true heel in every sense of the word.
Oh, no doubt.
So
I feel like people do respect Magnus for being a former world champion.
And I get that, but at the same time, for some reason, he does feel like he's being slighted, or he's not the main attraction of that match. He may just walk out of it and that make the the 4-on-5, the 5-on-4 advantage that much more awesome when they actually do pick up the victory.
True, but also Nashville is also a strong home to the NWA, so people might also have that respect for him there too, being the former Real World Champion. And again, in a perfect world, if there was, no restrictions, Bobby Roode show up again, bring that it factor fiend back. There's an ego I want to see combust. So that'd be like one of my ultimate dreams, or Abyss, Joseph Park, one night, just somehow
Abyss, yes. That's one of the things that like came to mind. I was like, Abyss would be perfect if you weren't a producer right now in WWE.
And
Like
AJ Styles, for that matter, who's been name dropped 5 times this week alone.
I'm about to say, like, Christopher Willis brought him up not too long ago because he's like, what do you think the odds are he's gonna end up becoming the next person inducted Impact Hall of Fame? Like, slightly, not even the slightest case. It won't happen.
Not with WWE right now.
He should have been the first one really ever inducted into the Hall of Fame for TNA, but
you figure about him and Jerry Lynn and what they did back in the very beginning days, all the way in the asylum. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like he should have very well been inducted before he left. Even if they knew he was leaving, he should have been inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Well, again, we'll see what happens post WWE when that day comes for the phenomenal AJ Styles when it comes to connection with Impact Wrestling and TNA. I still feel like there is one more match left for him to do in this company before he finally puts up the boots.
Oh, but before he retires, he will end up back in Impact Wrestling.
No doubt. All right. Well, speaking of ending up back in Impact Wrestling, you figure about what happened back at Slammiversary 2020 when a former Impact World Champion of his own right came back with a plan of his own design that became Violent by Design. And I recently watched that 5-way back in 2022 as we look at the past versus the now to define the future too. As it's time for the main event. Talk about a weird card. It feels shorter than last year too. As the Impact World Championship is on the line as the walking weapon, Josh Alexander defends the gold against the world-class maniac himself, Eric Young. And based on what we saw this past Thursday, Josh Alexander is not just defending the title, he is defending the legacy and the history of Impact Wrestling, while Eric Young is looking to bury it and move forward into his world, as he claims it does not belong to you. It belongs to us. The us being his maniacal family, Violent by Design 2. This one's interesting to me because we all know that Eric Young is a former Impact World Champion. It's also an all-Canadian affair as Scott D'Amore got dropped after throwing a shot against Diener. I did not expect that to happen. As Scott D'Amore, Team Canada vibes here, Jerry, literally talks about this is not just two great Impact Wrestling. This is literally family. You both are family to me. We've seen how much of an influence, coaching, manager-wise, support that Scott D'Amore has been in both these men's careers. Back when Eric Young was Showtime Eric Young. We've seen Eric Young for Team Canada. We've seen Showtime Eric Young. We saw him in ODB. Eric Young has been all the different phases you would expect to see somebody be in Impact Wrestling. And right now, it's like he's just indifferent to the entire world as he has his own maniacal, mindset and agenda, where the only thing that matters is Violent by Design and the power that comes with being the Impact World Champion. Josh Alexander, of course, he's been doing this for 17 years. We saw his long legacy as a tag team champion with the North, Ethan Page, and how long they held down the tag team division. Then he moved forward and raised the game of the X division, which I saw live at Homecoming when he took on Black Taurus and also that Ultimate X last year. And now he's finally become Impact World Champion for the long haul, burying that demon of the past moves and re-signing with Impact Wrestling. For me, this literally comes down to the past versus the present and who dictates the future. This, for me, though, feels like Josh Alexander deserves the win, but it wouldn't surprise me if the OG somehow pulls the upset here and throws everything into chaos. Most people right now, though, do believe Josh Alexander will retain. And as far as I'm concerned, the Walking Weapon deserves a long title reign. He's just starting. I don't think it's time for him to just drop the strap to an OG, especially when he's been literally the guy in the vignette for Slammiversary. I think Josh Alexander is not only your standard right now, but it will continue to be the standard of Impact Wrestling. Still the champion. But this certainly will be a match to remember, to say the least. Violent by Design, too. Jerry, your thoughts on this?
One of my favorite things about Impact Wrestling, especially looking back through all those cards and everything, like I mentioned I did, just to prepare for this video,
Absolutely.
is watching the evolution of Eric Young. You talked about that just at length. How he started off as a lackey in Team Canada, how he struck out on his own, how he became Super Eric, how he's every step of the way he's done everything that company has asked him to do.
Yep.
And like when he came back to the company, what was it? Back when
It
he
was
was
Slammiversary 2020 in that 5-way dance to crown a vacant
no,
Impact World Champion because of disagreements with Tessa Blanchard.
I'm thinking about something else back when he started his own faction of like worldwide talent. I forgot what they were called though, but
Where's Paul? Dang it, can't think of
yeah.
it.
Well, it'll come to me probably eventually, probably after the video is finished. But
most likely.
you got
we've seen sub-tens of him, like when he feuded with Kurt Angle,
yeah,
per se, and nearly broke the man's neck.
yeah.
So yeah.
So like you got to figure like he knows adversity as well. Like so the 12th Slammiversary. Do you know what the main event for the 12th Slammiversary was? Because I do. I wrote it down.
Okay, go ahead and remind me.
It was Eric Young versus Bobby Lashley.
Yep, Bobby Lashley
versus Austin Aries in a steel cage.
I was recently watching that, and I remember when he freaking did the insane elbow drop off the top, the maniacal madman. He even talked about back when he came in 2020, he formally won the title at freaking Slammiversary.
Yep.
And yes, Elin Brown, Eric Young was a knockout tag team champion. We try and forget that.
That's just me saying more about how the company. I'm gonna say they owe him this. Like this big victory at Slammiversary. Granted, Josh is gonna be around for a while. He really will be, and like
no doubt.
There's no telling how long the actual Eric Young title reign will be. But I have Eric Young winning this match.
Right.
By hook or by crook. I don't see Violent by Design being a factor in the match. I see Josh Alexander watching over his shoulder for Violent by Design to show up, but I don't see them playing a factor in the match in the long run, and that's just more of Eric Young playing mind games with them.
The psychological warfare from the world-class maniac.
If Josh Alexander thinks he's going to be facing off against 3 or 4 people, he's going to be preparing to face 3 or 4 people. He won't be preparing to face one Eric Young.
Imagine if Eric Young does try and bring back like the different phases of Eric Young here, like you said, like Super Eric Young with that wide-eyed stare and then drop like the friggin' elbow per se. What if Scott D'Amore even comes out maybe here at some point and like tries and breathes something into the result, maybe fend off Violent by Design, because really Scott D'Amore, he's kind of the heart of this too if you think about it.
Yeah, like Border City Wrestling is like playing such a huge part in this main event. There's so much heritage with that. There's so much heritage with TNA. There's so much heritage with Impact. People are sleeping on the fact that this main event is very, very, very important. Because, like you said, like you have the past of Impact Wrestling, and you have the president of Impact Wrestling to try to dictate the future of Impact Wrestling. So, either way, like Josh Alexander wins the match, I'm great with that. Eric Young wins the match, I'd be even greater with that because I like the idea of him holding the belt, having the belt as a stronghold, kind of like Roman Reigns has with the Bloodline at this point. It'd be cool to have a champion of that caliber that's been with that company for that long and actually returned. Like he could have gone to any other company after leaving WWE, but he went right back to Impact because he knew he could A, get opportunities, and B, that he'd be respected. And he's going to do all the great stuff he probably wanted to do with Sanity and everything else with Violent by Design. I can honestly see Eric Young winning this match and winning the world title.
But right now you're officially going with Josh to retain, though, right?
No, I went with Eric Young.
Oh, okay. So there we go. So
yeah, but I'm going with Eric Young on this. Like, I'm cool with Josh Alexander if he wins it because I know it's going to be a competitive match. Something about Canadian wrestling is just awesome, regardless.
I do agree about that. Hello, Allie.
So that'd be great if he wins, great. But at the same time, I see Eric Young winning and being even better.
And you sold somebody. You influenced. You are the influencer. So with that being said, we are 1-on-1. Let's go ahead and see what a lot of people here said. 24 people believe Josh will retain, but you're also not alone in this too, because it looks like 3 people picked Eric Young as well.
Well, now 4 if he changes it.
that. We got 4 people watching, by the way. Thanks for those that are tuning in for the late call. We're talking about the main event. We're celebrating Impact Wrestling. We'd love to hear your thoughts, comments, moments, any questions you might have regarding this company, what's ahead, why we like it. Maybe you talk about your favorite moments, memories too. So there you go. Anyway,
Slammiversary 15.
King!
Slammiversary 15 was actually really neat too, though. Because I forgot to mention that because they actually did the invasion angle right. Because you had Global Force Wrestling versus Impact almost on almost every match of that card.
Every match, exactly. Yeah, you had Jessica Havoc.
It was all unification matches, and that made it all the more special. And it caused a little bit more of a weight to be put onto Impact Wrestling. The fact that they could have easily gone out of business or been merged with Global Force Wrestling at that point. So that's really cool. So that was actually really cool that they did it that way. There was actually that legitimate threat because people saw that Impact Wrestling was floundering, and you had Jeff Jarrett's company, like Global Force, like coming in and ready to take everything over, and it just felt legit. And it felt like Impact would fall by the wayside. Global Force Wrestling would actually become a Global Force. So, but that ended up not happening, and
no. And now Jeff Jarrett works with Progress Wrestling, and we'll see if that ever becomes a thing with him.
I think Jeff Jarrett will go wherever the money is or wherever he thinks he can make a difference, and that's why I think if he's going to do a one-off show for Slammiversary 20, it just makes sense.
True, but again, only time will tell. That being said, that's the card. Let's see what some comments here are. Happy 20th anniversary to NWA, TNA Wrestling, Impact Wrestling. Enjoyed the show and happy Father's Day. Let's go Impact. Interested to see what happens next. I think we will see some upsets. Should be awesome. And it should be a good show. Someone from WWE shows up. Someone said William Morrissey somehow invades. I mean, I thought he's done with Impact, but I guess
he's done.
I'm about to say, yeah, I don't think he's going to be on the show at all. So those are just some of the more on-topic comments I see here. People be people. It's all good. But your opinions matter. Anyway, Jay, again, there's a lot of polarization when it comes to several of these matches where we think they could go either way. And when it comes to the multi-person's dance of Ultimate X and the first ever Queen of the Mountain, it's a who's to say as far as who's winning those two. But I'm definitely looking forward to this pay-per-view. So good luck to you. And again, man, always a pleasure. Folks, that's it. So anything you want to promote or any last thoughts, and where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Gerald_JSJ or my Facebook group Armbar, all capital, ARMBAR, exclamation point.
Don't forget it.
Lately we have so much wrestling news going on. Like over the past couple of days, it's been frightening about how much stuff's been going on.
This week alone has been absolute freaking insanity.
The fact that our buddy Aaron Rift, he probably hasn't left his laptop in about past 3 or 4 days. He's probably growing a beard. It's gonna be weird. But
I mean, I'm getting my beard back. But with all due respect, Aaron Riff, and folks, say yes to No DQ. Close the damn laptop and get some fresh air, dude. I digress. Continue.
But that's all I really gotta say. And this was actually really fun. I'm excited to see how this whole thing turns out. I see myself actually getting a lot of points in the league for this one. I really do. But otherwise, yeah. If I don't, it's still a bit of a wild ride. So I'm happy with it.
As we celebrate 20 years and look towards the 21st too. Jerry, always a pleasure. God bless you. Folks, you want to know more about me? Know this. I am just a simple man and a lifelong fan of professional wrestling. Damn it! But I digress. Find me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Foster1916 for all things wrestling. Shout, of course, to King, who was in the chat, getting on my alley case. Stop it! You freaking Jade Batty lover. And also shout out to the entire ATW family on Twitter. We'll be back with our ATW view regarding all things wrestling, especially this month, considering everything that's happening in and out of wrestling shows and in the news, too. Jesus Christ, it's only June. Can we get a break? So stay tuned for more on the ATW view. I'll be doing more recasts for AW Rampage on the Daily Slam. And as we talked about Slammiversary of the night, stay tuned for the Jeff Meacham Network tomorrow night, where I will be bringing you play-by-play coverage and live reactions, too, to Slammiversary. As always, I'd like to conclude there are no winners, no losers, no betters. There are just fans with opinions for this passion we all share. At the end of the day, folks, support one another and respect each other. And just enjoy life and enjoy professional wrestling. Protect your mentality, too. It's as simple as that. And again, after Slammiversary, we keep moving forward in wrestling where there's no rest. God help us, because literally, what's the following Sunday? The freaking Forbidden Door. And stay tuned, because I'll be live on the WHM Network for live reactions and commentary and coverage on that too. So get your predictions in for Slammiversary. Stay tuned for the Forbidden Door. Become part of the Impact Wrestling Predictions League. Good luck to our current champion, Scott Cater. And support Impact Wrestling as we celebrate 20 years of them too, heading to Slammiversary. For Jerry's Slammiversary, I am Noah Foster. We thank you all for tuning in. And again, we hope you enjoyed the conversation. We hope you enjoyed Impact Wrestling already, or you try to, maybe even this Sunday. And until next time, you know what I always like to say, make a positive impact in life and have not just a good night, as is broad, bright daylight, just have a wonderful day. Simple as that.
Slap nuts.
Bye. Oh, why? You had to end with a note like that. Okay, well, we're going to do that. I'm just going to do this. You gotta be kidding me! That's my own impersonation of Don West. I'm not going to say joking. And Don West, I hope your help is okay. I miss, like, Mike today and Taz when they do it. But Tom Flanagan and Matthew Raywald, they do a great job, too. The fact that people think I sound like Joey Styles, but it's tolerable, I don't know if that's a compliment or just a humorous thing to say at least, too. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in, as always, to this simple YouTube channel. We'll see you next time for The Forbidden Door. Happy anniversary, Impact Wrestling. Have a great Slammiversary.